Hi, welcome to the June 10th Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. As always, please add your name and affiliation to the list just so we know who's been attending the calls. And then we'll pause for a minute, as we usually do, to give people an opportunity to bring up any community concerns or community questions. And I'll point out here as well that if there's something that you want to add to the agenda, now is a good time to get it added either in the any other business section or to bring it up now. This week we don't have a lightning talk. So if you do have a talk that you'd like to give, please reach out. We'll see if we can get those scheduled over the coming weeks, or a topic you'd like to have somebody cover, reach out. We'd definitely like to get some talks lined up for the next couple of weeks. So as we usually do, I'll open up the list of user raised issues just so we can see the most recent raised issues. There's a race condition generating the cache ID, which has already been added into the 021 milestone. So I'm going to assume this is being looked at. Just open it up for a quick look. So, all right, so this has been highlighted to Hung. Make sure that it's getting the attention it needs. There is another performance problem with Minecraft. Looks like there's been some comments here, and there's some new data, so we'll have to follow up with that as well. Somebody has already been looking at this and has an update. We have a issue related to GC check that's marked as a blocker, so I'm just going to open that up. This is related to renaming or deleting a field and adding a new one. And so it looks like we have a pull request open for this. So progress is being made there. We'll continue to monitor that and make sure it gets in for the release. And then the rest of these would have been looked at during the last community call. So unless there's something here people want to call out or a particular concern to raise, we'll move back to the agenda. And so I'd like to remind people to please be tagging issues that are help wanted issues or beginner issues, good ones for getting people started with working with the project. Get those tagged with those labels, and then try and leave them as well for beginners and people interested in joining our project to make sure that it's an easy onboard for anybody who wants to get involved. Andrew, I see that you're on the call. Have the download stats been updated?
Yes, I've done those. Trends continuing in the same direction as before. And we do have the new dashboard is about to be merged very shortly. So just trying to get approval from the Adopt community. So that should be available soon. The work is complete, just needs merging.
Got more accurate download data, correct?
It does, and more options for filtering and all sorts of goodies. So.
All right. Does anyone have any questions or comments around the download stats? All right. So then the 021 release, we've split as of June 7th. Thank you, Peter, for the work. And I believe the milestone 1 builds have been kicked off. Is that correct?
Yes, we have builds for 11 and 14. There's something still pending for 8. Could you hear me?
Yes. 8 is still pending. Yeah, if we can get this updated with links, or if the links are in Slack already, we'll make sure that we get those tweeted as well and advertised.
Yeah, they're in the extensions repo Slack channel. So we're waiting for Windows builds on JDK 8. And then I'll put it into the general channel and we can tweet it. There were some timeouts, though, that I'm a little concerned about.
So yeah, I was going to echo that as well, Peter. There's a timeout occurring in a few places I've noticed. Um, I'm just wondering if there's something going on in there that's happening sporadically and causing the test to never end, and or whoever sees the timeout at the end.
Yeah, it could be a hang. The VM could be
Yeah.
hanging, causing it to time out, and it just doesn't reoccur all that often, but it's something we should take a look at.
Yeah. So on the M1 builds, I've had a few and I've rerun them on grinders. I'm updating the last results for JDK now, and there's a couple in there as well.
Okay. Is there particular patterns or to what's being hit with the timeouts? Is it by platform? Is it by particular tests?
I think I've only seen Intel and only on the OpenJDK test suite, but they have a kind of blanket 10-minute timeout on them all. So basically something never ends. That's what we'd see. But no, they've not. They've all been in the Lang test suite, as I recall, but that covers a lot.
Okay. So I think we should try and coordinate by Slack to make sure that those are being looked at so we can get those resolved. Are there other things that need to be called out around those milestone builds?
No, John, I think, well, while we're talking about it, I did raise one crash that again appeared to be intermittent, but I think you looked at that and signed it off somewhere.
Then I'm going to pull up the milestone plan. We still have 35 open items in this plan, and we have a bit of time until the next milestone, which is basically the end of the month. But I'd like to see us try and take a hard look at the items in here, which of these have to be resolved and which of these should be moved out, right? We've noticed with our last couple of releases that there have been issues that landed late and introduced some instability just before the release. So when possible, let's try and get these things in either very early after this milestone 1 build, or look at which ones should be delayed and removed from the milestone. So asking all committers to be taking a look at their areas and issues they would have been reviewing to either get them merged and in, or excluded, or move to the next milestone. And it might make sense during the next one of these community calls to go through this list in more detail. So if people can have done that first pass before the next community call, that would be appreciated. Is there anything else that we need to call out around the 021 release?
I don't think we have any JIT representation on the call today, so we'll have to ask the JIT team to take a look through the milestone plan.
Yeah, I We'll just add a note right now into the committer's public channel. So I've added that into the committer's public channel. But we should definitely reach out to individuals as well. Are there other topics we should discuss around the release? Then hand it over for the regular update from Adopt. I don't see Shelley on the call, who normally would give us this update. But
So from my perspective, if I'm the only one on, I've been doing the M1 builds. We've had a few issues with building and testing issues with infrastructure mostly, which we're trying to get on top of prior to the release. So I need to focus on that in the next week or so. Other than that, we've been nightly again suffering from a number of the same problems that I encountered in the M1 builds, but we have been making progress at working through some of those issues. Thanks to Andrew in particular for sorting some of them out.
Yeah, we're doing our best. It does seem to be more instances of sort of network-related glitches. I'm sort of suspecting more people online are causing more network-type problems. So we're trying to make it a bit more robust.
okay.
The prereqs that the tests have failing to download. And we've had some issues of our own making of trying to cache Git repositories and not doing it correctly. So we started trying to build the wrong thing, which is most confusing. I think Andrew has got on top of that now.
Yeah, that should be fixed now.
All right. Thank you. Stuart, how are the RISC-V builds coming? You're off mute, Stuart, but I can't hear you. So.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I had the mute on my on my laptop enabled as well. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So we've got it building fairly regularly, and that seems to be working quite well. In terms of testing, we have got a few of the modifications required for the test suite in now, but we haven't got the physical hardware working, so we're only running on the emulator, and so when we run it on there, we, as you might expect, hit a lot of timeouts. So that's where we are at the moment. George is looking to try and get that reinstalled with a operating system that will work better, the physical hardware. So waiting on that at the moment. But yes, the most of it is up and running other than that at the moment.
Thank you. In terms of our machines, Adam or Joe, do you have an update?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So nothing new with the machines. There's an AX issue a couple weeks ago. That's all resolved now. We do have some slowness that we've probably had ever since we moved to these new AX machines, but we just didn't notice before. So I'm actually slacking with one of the site admins right now, and they're aware of the issue. So try and work through, see what we can come up with for a solution. But we're talking like 10 minutes for upload and an hour and a half for download, which is significantly slower than any other platform. So bills still get through, but it's extra time we shouldn't have to be waiting. Other than that, I think it's business as usual.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
I just wanted to check with Stuart about which machines we use at Adopt to compile OS X.
I think they're Mac Stadium ones.
Do you know which version of the OS?
Nope, but I can find out for you in the next few minutes.
Great, thank you.
In terms of the website design review, I know we were looking for approvals to go live with the updated website. I believe those have come through.
Yeah, this is Peter. Sue's been pulled off onto another project for the last couple of weeks, which is why nothing's happened, but she's back on OpenJ9 next week, so hopefully we'll get this sorted next week or shortly after. The actual site is ready to go. It's just a question of doing things at Eclipse and some of that sort of thing.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Then in terms of any other business, the CMake migration. Devin, do you have an update there?
Yeah, we're still on track to switch over to the X Linux builds this Friday. And then next Friday, I'm shooting for P Linux and with a stretch goal of also Z Linux, but we'll see how that one goes.
Go back to Peter's question. They are all 10.14 now. Shipped in, that was.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. And Devin, just for confirmation, the plan is to only switch the master branch, not to make the change into the release stream.
Yeah.
All right. Has there been any feedback on the OS X migration?
Yeah, well, there was the issue you had with the shared library issues, which I was going to take a look at, but the Jenkins issue instance was being finicky, and I couldn't reserve a machine, so I'm going to try and take a look at that today. Otherwise, it's generally been pretty quiet.
All right, good to hear. All right. I see that Mark is not on the call, so I think we will skip over the interim release proposal. And I see Raghu is also not on the call, so we will skip the Helm and operator discussion. Scott, so I see you're on the call for the microjet issue, but most of the people you would want to talk to don't appear to be here today. So is there an update you want to give at this point, or would you like to delay it till hopefully next week when more of the JIT committers are here?
Well, unless Andrew Craig is on the call and has any update on the in-depth meeting, the only thing I have left is to give a very thankful shout out to Keith Campbell, who's been keeping up to date on the pull requests. And I noticed he was on the call earlier. That's been super helpful. But beyond that, Just waiting on the special interest group for anything there. No real big updates.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, it might be worth pinging Andrew via Slack as well, just to help move this forward if you don't want to wait another week for the next one of these calls. All right. Are there any other topics people would like to bring up today? All right, then thank you everyone, and just a continued reminder to focus on that 021 milestone. Let's see if we can burn down the remaining issues or move out things that are not critical for the release. I'll continue to reiterate that message through Slack and through our other communications as well. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.